Greetings, friend, and welcome to the Between the Covers podcast, where we are working every day to remove the self-limiting beliefs that are preventing us from becoming the heroes of our own stories. I am Marcus Barr. It is time for August Hero Study, and for this month, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite female protagonists from the Metroid series. Her name is Samus Aran. I have seen some people say that it's Samus Aran, which is honestly how I used to pronounce her name growing up. And it wasn't until recently doing my research that I discovered, actually, I think it's canonically Aran. But Samus is the main protagonist in the Metroid series. Starting back on the original Nintendo Entertainment System, the Metroid game was very groundbreaking in its time. And one of the things that is so interesting about Samus as a character is she originally was not she was not gendered originally. It's very amusing. Samus, we knew Samus as the bounty hunter who was trying to take down the space pirates on the planet Zebes. And in the original instruction manual for the game, I've heard it both ways, but either she was referred to as the masculine pronouns with he and him, or it was the gender non-specific them or it. But one of the things that was apparent from the very beginning is even in the manual of the game, you didn't even know you were playing as a woman. The thing I find very interesting about Samus as a hero is for people in my generation who grew up with the original Nintendo Entertainment System and playing these games like Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, boy, my brain really farted there, and Metroid, among others, is we saw this trend, and it's something that we still see a lot of today, that a lot of these heroic figures are male or even present themselves as masculine. And the concept of a female protagonist is something that in a lot of ways I feel like is relatively new, especially in the gaming sphere, to the point where even on Steam they have a specific tag for female protagonist games, because if you don't have that specific tag, then it just defaults to, well, you're playing as a man, you're playing as a guy. That's just how it's been in the gaming scene for a long time. Probably not helped by a lot of the stereotypes that the man is the knight in shining armor who is rescuing the woman who is the damsel in distress. It was very unique to have a hero who wasn't a man. And Samus was the first one to really buck this trend, at least in video games from my understanding. It isn't until you beat the game and meet a specific requirement where I forget what it is now, but you're supposed to either beat it in like under 2 hours or under an hour and have collected a certain number of the collectibles in the game to have a part of the end game being that the power suit that Samus is wearing throughout the entire game is removed, and it's oh my lord, it's discovered that you were playing a woman this entire time. That was shocking back in the day. And she has been a powerhouse, really, since her first iteration on the NES. So let's get into Samus's story here. I have some notes here, and I tried to gather more notes than I have with previous hero studies. Samus was raised by this species called the Chozo on the planet Zebes. And depending on the sources, she was either 3 years old or she was somewhere between 4 and 6 years old. What had happened is when she was a young child, her parents were killed by space pirates. So she was brought into this clan of Chozo, and they trained her to become a soldier. And it's, again, depending on which age you're going with, she was either 14 years old or she was somewhere between 15 and 17 years old. She leaves Zebes in order to join the Galactic Federation Police. And the Galactic Federation Police have been at odds with the space pirates for a long time. I guess I should say spoiler alert for games that came out. Metroid came out in 1986, and then Super Metroid came out 30 years ago in 1994. But you are tasked as Samus to take down Mother Brain. And Mother Brain is literally a brain inside of a canister full of fluid. But Mother Brain is the one who controls the space pirates, and that's in the first Metroid game. That's your objective. You got to take out Mother Brain. After you take out Kraid and Ridley, who are two of the lieutenants, I guess you could call them. And then in Super Metroid, kind of the same thing. They add in this new boss called Phantoon, and you still have to take out Kraid and Ridley and ultimately go to take down Mother Brain. However, there is one character in particular that is more of a nemesis to Samus, and that's Ridley. Ridley is the one who killed her mother when the space pirates attacked when she was a young girl. So she has a particular hatred towards not just the space pirates, but Ridley in particular. And I should specify that none of these space pirates really look like humans at all. Like, Ridley is more of a dragon than he is a human. Kraid is like the size of... in the original game, he was just like, I don't know, a head taller than Samus, or maybe the same height as Samus, but much wider. When you face him in Super Metroid, he is like the size of a 2-story building. I mean, we're talking not your normal run-of-the-mill humans. We're talking like legit aliens. And so Samus actually suffered some post-traumatic stress disorder from this attack, from seeing her parents fall to the space pirates, and in particular Ridley killing her mother. Samus actually faces a lot of these traumas from her PTSD by actually going after the space pirates, and in particular taking down Ridley. According to my research, Samus took down Ridley when she was in her early adolescence. This may have been during the time that she was in the Galactic Federation Police. It might have been before. I'm not entirely certain. But Ridley has been a common figure in the universe of Metroid. And Samus has, in all of the games that I've played, she has faced off against Ridley 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I think, in the maybe 8 games. No, right? There's 3 Metroid Prime games. Probably about 9 or 10 games. So almost half the time she's facing off against Ridley. And in one particular scenario, we have, this is in the latest game. No, not the latest. I'm sorry. I'm getting so confused on this because they did release Metroid Dread on the Switch. The game that came out before that was Metroid Other M. And in this situation, you see Samus taking orders from a previous commanding officer in the Galactic Federation Police, who is one of the only people that she will take orders from, because he's the only one who has earned her respect to do so. And she is taking orders from her previous CEO, Adam Malkovich, and towards the, I guess, spoiler alert for Metroid Other M, it is revealed on this space station that they are on, a lot of similar environments to planet Zebes are being manufactured, are being not really terraformed, but they are specifically creating environments for the native life of planet Zebes to thrive and to grow as they're studying. And there is this one weird little furball that you meet relatively early on that you don't really see as being that big of a threat or anything like that. And it's revealed to be Ridley in the end. And she ends up having a PTSD episode where she effectively just shuts down as soon as she sees Ridley. And this was the second to last time that she faced off against him. So that trauma is still there. And yet, Samus continues to face this trauma. She continues to stand up and to work through and overcome what it is that has caused a lot of this fear in her life. That's absolutely heroic. It's something that can be very empowering. I have some friends who have suffered childhood sexual abuse that as soon as they started to actually share their stories and talk with other people about these atrocities that were done to them when they were not old enough or mature enough or even powerful enough to speak up for themselves, that it is very empowering to face this trauma instead of running away from it. This is something that we see with Samus. She faces one of the worst traumas in battling the space pirate that murdered her parents. And that is one of the things that really makes her strong. And it's also a testament to her training with the Chozo, that in her early adolescence, she was able to battle against Ridley and defeat him. As I've been talking about Samus as a character, I mentioned at the beginning that she is a bounty hunter, and yet I also said that she was employed by the Galactic Federation Police. She decided to leave the Galactic Federation Police in order to become a bounty hunter because she is just not one of those who will take orders or likes taking orders from people who haven't earned her trust. And with this step, she becomes an individual who continues to partner with the Galactic Federation Police, so long as their goals are in alignment. We'll put that caveat in there. If their goals don't align, or if at any point their goals don't align throughout a mission, nope, she's done partnering with them. She's going to do her own thing. She becomes a bounty hunter who is capable of accomplishing missions that people deemed impossible. So we have a bounty hunter, we have an individual who is very strong, who sticks to her beliefs and her morals, and she will ultimately do what she feels is best for the galaxy. A great example of this is in the second Metroid game. Samus is sent on a mission to this planet called SR388. And the main purpose for her being on this planet is to hunt down and destroy the namesake of this game franchise. That is the Metroids. The Metroids are a specific alien species that's actually very parasitic, that they drain the energy of their victims. And they were deemed a very powerful threat. So she goes on this mission to destroy all of the Metroids that are on SR388. After you have defeated the last Metroid, or what you believe is the last Metroid, Samus is leaving and a Metroid egg hatches. Instead of choosing to kill this baby Metroid, she has compassion on it. She decides to take it into custody, pretty much, and turn it over to the Galactic Federation Police. And it's unfortunate that they decided to take this baby Metroid and make it a weapon, or that was their intention, was to try and weaponize on what they could learn from this alien species. And this leads to the events of Super Metroid. The space pirates attack the space station, they take the baby Metroid, and now you are on a mission to take down the space pirates and rescue this baby Metroid. While she didn't follow her orders exactly in destroying all of the Metroids, let's face it, this governmental power, being the Galactic Federation, they didn't really want all of the Metroids to be destroyed because of their potential as a weapon. And the space pirates didn't want that either. So she is compassionate, and this baby Metroid is put into perils because of it. She goes on this mission in order to rescue the baby Metroid from her old nemesis Ridley and Mother Brain, Nemesi, I guess. And in the end, the baby Metroid is killed trying to protect Samus. And that leads to probably one of the most dire situations that the galaxy ever faced. On the planet SR388, there was another parasitic alien called, I guess the Federation just called it the X-Parasite. And the Metroids were the natural enemy of the X-Parasite. Without all of these Metroids, the X-Parasite was allowed to flourish. And this parasite is devious because it can mimic and even clone, or not clone, shapeshift, in order to look like some other creature. She was trying to do some research or figure out what's going on with this X-Parasite, and it ends up getting into her power suit. She didn't really think anything of it until it took over her power suit systems and it multiplied, and she was only saved because the X-Parasite got into her body. She was only saved by Metroid cells from the baby Metroid that saved her life. This creates probably one of the most dangerous encounters that Samus has had up to this point. She has faced off against an army of space pirates. She has faced off against Kraid, who is a 2-story tall lizard alien. She has faced off against Ridley more than once, effectively a flying dragon that caused a lot of trauma in her life. She faces off against Mother Brain, the head of the space pirates. And now, thanks to the X-Parasite, Samus has to face off against herself. Because the X-Parasite takes control of her power suit, which means it takes control of all of the wonderful power-ups and arsenal that she collected. She is stuck on a research base where the X-Parasite is trying to take over, and she has to often run and hide from this being that was the embodiment of Samus in her most optimal and weaponized state, as she is trying to build up her upgrades to her new power suit to do battle against this X-Parasite version of herself. As you get towards the end of this game, you discover there's more than one now, because that's what the X-Parasite does. It just continues to copy and grow and expand. And this was a very real threat. What did the Galactic Federation want Samus to do? They wanted her to confine the X-Parasite so that they could continue doing their research and figure out a way to turn this effectively into a biological weapon. And what did Samus choose to do? What she felt was best for the galaxy. And she destroyed the station that the X-Parasite was on. Much to the dismay of the Galactic Federation, she chose to go with what she believed was best. And that's heroic, that's admirable. There were also some other ways that Samus was compassionate to some other alien life forms. In the game Super Metroid, the third game in this franchise, as you are leaving a planet that is going to self-destruct, don't ask me what kind of methods they had for blowing up a planet, but that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to escape after taking down Mother Brain because the whole planet is going to blow up. You can choose, and canonically speaking, Samus chooses to save 4 aliens from this planet. And it's very entertaining to consider that these 4 aliens were likely ex-parasite copies of the actual aliens, but she was still compassionate to them in order to protect them and allow them to escape from planet Zebes. In the Metroid Prime games, in the second one in particular, there is this alien race called the Luminoth that she saves from extinction. They were on the verge of being wiped out by, oh, I forget the name of it, some dark entity that was going after this Phazon stuff that was making them powerful, I guess. And this race, this species called the Luminoth, she helped them find a new home after getting them off of their home world that was going to be destroyed by this dark entity. I almost have the name of it. The Ing. I double checked because that wasn't in my notes, but this other species is called the Ing, and they live in a dark version of this planet Aether that the Luminoth live on, and they were going to completely take over and make the Luminoth extinct. Samus helps them to survive and find a new planet that they can try and rebuild. And I don't have the whole story on this because this one comes from the most recent game, Metroid Dread. Samus interacts with some Chozo, and she puts herself in a harm's way to stop this specific Chozo named Ravenbeak from his nefarious goals that he is working toward. And from what I understand, Ravenbeak is a tough cookie. So we have a woman who experiences the loss of some very important people in her life at a very young age. Goes through some incredible training. I'm guessing it was even arduous for all of those years with the Chozo to become an officer, maybe an officer in the Galactic Federation Police, before striking out on her own as a bounty hunter and taking on missions that no one else would, or maybe others had tried and had failed miserably. She is a powerful individual. She is smart, she's resourceful, she is stalwart in her beliefs. She is probably one of the strongest protagonists that I know. And it was actually very fun to learn more about her story outside of what I've experienced in the games that I've played. We have someone who is strong, who is compassionate, who is willing to give her trust to those who have earned it. And that's something that I think a lot of us can learn from, a lot of us can benefit from. I hope you enjoyed this look at the hero of Samus Aran, and we will see who the next hero is going to be. If you are enjoying this podcast, then please like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads. If you're interested in working with me, take a look in the description where you can find a link to my website or a link to schedule a free 50-minute one-on-one call with me to see if we're going to be a good fit for each other. Let's get this conversation started on how you can become the hero of your own story. If you have any questions or even a suggestion for a potential protagonist or hero that we can discuss on a future hero study episode, then go to the link in the description that will take you to my podcast page where you can fill out a form that will send questions or even send ideas to me of some other heroes that we can talk about. And until next time, live strong for today. Thank you for that, Odin.